Welcome back. So last time you saw me cutting out these little brackets there for the hook locks, and this time I'm actually bending them because they need a little kink in them in order to fit nicely in the door frames. So I just made a little jig here with a little cutout in there, and allows me to get a real close grab on that thing and just bend it into shape. So those are pretty much done. And meanwhile, guys are actually starting to work on this new jig there for the wing fixture in order to be able to bond the wing skins all together with the winglets in place. And we have our new team member Jim working with us now. He's come down from Wisconsin to work for us for a while, and we'll see how he works out. But he's been tasked with welding up the frames for the winglets, because we already did the ones for the wings. So he's working on that, and Jeremy is actually cutting this black sort of fiberglass material that we used last time in order to mill the sort of shape for the winglets to sit into on those frames, and you'll see that again shortly. And it didn't take Jim long, and he had all the different pieces cut for both sides there for the just the lightweight frames for those bits that Jeremy's cutting, and he's welding them together. And meanwhile, here's Zach, and he's busy trimming off and sanding the edges again on the parts for the aileron upper skins. And so this is one of them there. You just got to bring it back to where that little scribe line is from the mold. And Keith's been working on this one. This is the inner winglet skin. So it didn't take long actually. You know, as you saw last time, Jeff really flew through getting all these different winglet and aileron and rudder skins all done. And here's the jig now underway on the machine, so all those fiberglass bits have been bolted into place, and I'm just running the toolpath there, which just cuts out the profile for the winglets so they'll sit nicely in there, as you saw before back on when we did the ones for the wings. And here Jeff's primed these ones. Now this is one of the ones for the cowling, and one side of the cowling, and then this is the one for the inlet scoop that goes on the top of the aircraft and allow air to come in, and there's the other cowling side one. So those have been primed, and just need to have the materials cut, and they'll be ready to lay up. And here's the lower skins for the foreplane. Again, those molds have the primer laid down, so he's just not wasting any time getting through all the rest of the parts that are still need to be laid up. And now Jim's moving on to the heavier frames that support the two different little fixtures there, so they can sort of combine into one big thing. And this is out of a 2x4 steel. And in order to mate the two sides, we're going to be basically making it so they bolt together. So actually I set it up on the machine and drilled the holes there in the two end pieces, so they align nicely. And here's Keith moving on to prepping the little bonding flange there. On the one side, he has to just remove that primer from there because that was sprayed into the mold, and so it just has to be quickly sanded off. It doesn't take that much to do that. And Devin's in the process of prepping these different ribs for the rudders and the ailerons, so Jeff's getting ready to actually start bonding those ribs into place, which is exciting. So as you can see, Jeff has marked out the stations where each of the ribs lives, and this is in one of the ailerons. So he's bonding each one into place with some high sol, and just using a craft stick there just to put a nice little radius on where they made up to the inner skin there of the aileron. So this is pretty exciting to actually be bonding together parts of the wings already, or at least the control surfaces. And a short while later, this is what it looks like. So he's got the ribs bonded in there, and it just needs to have there's going to be a weighted front there in order to balance out the aileron, and that'll be bonded into place. And then the top closed out on there. There's a couple other things that need to happen there, a little hard point in there for the actuator. And this is one of the rudders, and that has the ribs bonded into place on that as well. And a short while later, again here you can see he's actually put the weight in there, so it's a bit of I think it was 1/2 inch by 1/4 inch steel sort of rectangle thing in there, and that's basically so the aileron stays balanced and won't have any problems with flutter or anything like that. So as you can see, things are progressing nicely, and here Jeff's laying up the part now for the intake scoop. So nothing really complicated about that one. Anyway, just getting more of the parts done. And this is what that one looks like when it's under the vacuum there. So I believe he did put some core in there just to strengthen that up a little bit, and got it back bagged and vacuumed, so that's good. And here you can see Zach has prepped all the materials for the ones for the cowling, so they'll be next to get laid up, I would suspect. And here you can see Jim is in the process of welding up the heavyweight steel now for the sides of that fixture now that have the winglets on it. And now you can see he's transitioned onto the larger side, which is the side that has the fixture that sits the wing. So those two pieces will get mated together, and then of course there's one for the left wing and one for the right wing. So anyway, you'll see that pretty much finished in the next video. And meanwhile, Jeremy and I pretty much finished cleaning up the wiring here, and you see we put that wire conduit around things, and we wrapped everything else. And we're still waiting on some narrow gauge conduit as well, a 1/4 inch, just to finish off putting that around all the thinner wires and that. But it's much neater now and tidier, and pretty happy about that. So anyway, that's our update for the first half of this week. Lots of progress, and it's great to have 7 guys in the shop now. Things are flying along. So anyway, you'll see a lot more happening on the next update. And thanks again for watching, and we will see you on Saturday.